internet friends, and welcome back to another video. So this video is kind of based around what's been going on in America. I don't know when you guys are going to see it. I know it's going to be in the next couple of months from when I'm filming this, but I don't know how close Biden's inauguration is to what's happening right now. I want to talk about voting systems, if you didn't get that by the title. And I want to preface this with I have no political degree whatsoever. I have never studied politics except for like in my free time just learning about how my election system works and how America's election system works, all of that. Like I've never academically learnt politics, anything along that nature. This is just what I think would be a good system with the common sense that I have, that I feel like in theory could be applied to democracy. So here we go, I guess. Okay, so although, thank goodness, Trump did not win, the way that the electoral vote system is set up is bananas in pajamas. And the UK system isn't much better. I feel like my choices are between Tory and Labour, which they kind of are at this point. We're slowly becoming more like America's two-party system, which is not good. Please stop. And the way that the UK works, to my knowledge, which isn't, I actually know American politics better than British politics these days, which says a lot. Within the county there's several, like, I'm going to call them blocks. I don't know what they're actually called, but I'm calling them blocks. Where I live, for example, kind of Jarrow's its own block, Blythe is a block, Sunderland is a block, the city centre of Newcastle is a block-ish. You get the, like, they'll split up a county into little sections and then that area's majority will be passed on, kind of. Do you get what I mean? The problem with that system is it's very similar, obviously not quite as dramatic, but very similar to the electoral system in the US, because if you're in one of those areas which always votes Tory, or always votes Labour, or always votes Green, or always votes Lib Dem, there is zero point in you voting for anything else because it's not going to get through. I was talking to my friends about this somewhat recently, especially with the last few years, you know, with Trump and Boris and everything going on. Voting and politics has become a bigger discussion than ever within various friendship circles. And I said that I didn't think it's very fair the way that it's currently set up. It should be by the individual. But my friend turns around and goes, well no, because that's not fair on the people that live in rural areas, and in the UK, for example, whatever London wants would be the predominant factor of what happens. And I was like, oh okay, yeah, that's fair enough. So I was like, what if we came up with a ranking system? So say I know there's more than 6, but say there's 6 parties in the UK. I'm going to use the UK as an example because I know 6 parties minimum. So we've got Tories, we've got Labour, we've got Lib Dem, we've got Green, we've got UKIP, we've got Britain First. They're the examples we'll use. I know there's more, don't come for me. I got it. Now 6 would be the highest score. So you wanted to vote Labour as your number 6, okay? Then you were Lib Dem as number 5, then Green number 4, Tory number 3, and number 2 would be UKIP, and number 1 would be Britain First. UK right now is predominantly Tory versus Labour. So if we reverse that and you vote Tory first, Green and Lib Dem are probably going to be those people's kind of second-ish choice too. So that means that we kind of have a more balanced, a more varied percentage of politicians within our government. We'd have more Lib Dem, we'd have more Green. Unfortunately that means we'd also have more like UKIP and Britain First in theory, but depends on the percentages, right? So that kind of makes these domineering Labour-Tory divide kind of split, because those seconds might end up winning versus the one you voted for first. And I said this system to my friend and he was like, that sounds good, but then there's also the problem of democracy doesn't work. And I was kind of like, what do you mean democracy doesn't work? And he's like, well, I could research for 6 months which party I want, look at the pros, the cons, every single policy that they have, and vote. The person next to me could close their eyes and wherever their pencil lands closest to is the one that they pick. I was like, okay, that's fair. Some people go into voting very educated, some people go into voting in a cult mindset, you know, like my whole family votes Labour, so I'm gonna vote Labour. My whole family votes Tory, I'm gonna vote Tory. So then I was like, what if, as part of the registration process, you had to do like a mini quiz? This is the second part of what I think would be a good idea. So to vote, obviously you need to do all the normal steps in registering, but then on top of that, it's like an online link, I guess, would be the way that would work. And again, if we go with the fact that we have 6, some of it would be questions, some of it would be like statements, and then the 6 parties, without telling us whose party is who, would give an answer to that statement. What is your party's stance on wind turbines? And then each 6 anonymously would have what they think. What is your plans for the NHS? And again, that'd be a longer answer, but like each one would anonymously have their answer. And you go through and you tick and you click and you do all the stuff, and obviously in theory it'd be like, what, 10 minutes worth of questions, and then at the end you get your breakdown of percentages of what, according to your answers, the algorithm thinks you should vote for. And again, my friend brought up another good point. What if, say for example, it was Lib Dem and Green? Say it was a complete even split, okay? Say it was like 60-40, and none of the other, you didn't click a single, which is unlikely, but go with me. Like, you didn't click another single person's party, you only picked 60% Lib Dem, 40% Green. Now, he was like, but what if something that you care about more is in the 40% section? And I was like, aha, I thought this through. Underneath the percentage, it tells you which answer it based its percentage on. So say you care more about the UK going green, or America going green, or whatever country you're from going green, more than you cared about better funding for the education system. Or vice versa, say for the UK you cared more about the NHS funding than you did university being free, as an example. But your NHS selected tick was in the lower percentage. You could then, from the data that you have, make a more educated decision on who you would like to vote for. Granted, I know that there's still going to be some people that say, well, I vote Labour, so I'm going to vote Labour regardless to what the ticky box says, or I'm going to vote Republican no matter what the ticky box says, I'm going to vote Democrat, I'm going to vote whatever, no matter what percentages and statistics they're given. However, I think a percentage of the people that would just cult tick would have their minds changed. Obviously not all of them, but a lot of them might look at it and go, huh, I'm not voting in my best interest. I should be voting for this party. And I think that should be part of the registration, so everyone goes in with some indication of what party suits their moral ideals best. As I say, we go back to the ranking system. I'm guessing a computer would do it. I mean, you'd have the people counting out the ballots originally. Say I somehow miraculously get this system through, okay? How do we count the votes? How does the voting work? We have our first choice, which is 6 points, our second choice, which is 5, all the way through. And the people who are collecting the ballots, because obviously you're not just voting for one party, you're kind of voting for everybody and ranking them. You could have people write down on a separate piece of paper or on the computer or whatever it is. Again, I'm not fully aware of like how the full process goes. I've never volunteered to do it. We go back to what my example probably would be, like from the rough knowledge I have on the policies of the British parties. I'm going to give you my ranking, roughly. So I think it'd be Lib Dem, Green, Labour, Tory, UKIP, Britain first. That would be my order going down. So whoever picks up my ballot, like put a 6 in the Lib Dem, then they would put a 5 in the Green, all the way down. And then once all the rankings have been like digested and put into their boxes, I know it feels like a lot of work, but at the same time the system we have now isn't exactly not time, you know, it still takes a while to go through the system we have right now. So it might take a little bit longer, and then with computers it might go quicker. So from there what they do is they run the numbers, either they work it out themselves or it goes through a computer, or it does both, so it can double check the answers so no one's made like a mathematical error. Get maybe 2 people to check it just in case. I don't know how that part of the system works. And then, you know, that goes in the computer, and then maybe, I don't know enough about how the percentages work in the UK from county to county, but I get my friend's point about it can't just be about where the biggest populace is, because that's not fair on the more rural communities. However, the rural communities should not get as much say as the cities, because the cities have the higher population of citizens. So it's kind of, I don't know how to answer that bit just yet. Feel free to chime your answers in at the bottom. Right now with the UK, I don't know how it works, but for example, I know the electoral system needs to like disappear. You can do another system by, like, you know, you could do it by each state has points per population, which I know is kind of what the electoral system, it's not really though. So like, you know, the most populated states have a higher number and then, or a higher percentage, and then it works out that way. But I kind of know the electoral system. I just know the electoral system needs to be scrapped and something needs to replace it. I don't know whether they could do it by population, then like count it down from there. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that particular part of the problem. But for right now, even if it was with the electoral system, it would still be fairer than what it is right now, even though the electoral system is a dumpster fire of a system. That's very outdated. Most like, alright, let's calm it down. I'm like most of America's laws and policies. Second Amendment. Sorry. I digress, not the point of the video. So from there, you know, you can collect all the voting up, So even if we kept it in the counties in the UK and like the little sections of the counties, my vote would actually go further, because yes, everyone in my particular little region votes Labour, but then after Labour they might be voting Lib Dem, or they might be voting Green, or they might be voting UKIP, but it would tip the scales a little bit more and allow people to have a more varied mix, which means that your voice is going to be more heard overall as an individual and as a collective. That's the system I came up with no political background whatsoever, but a little bit of common sense and wanting it to be as fair as possible with the knowledge that I have as a human. Let me know what you guys think. Would you like that system? What would you tweak that system with? What questions would you have for that system? And I will try and answer and think about it in the comments below. Like, let's create a discussion. I'm intrigued. Maybe someday a politician will see it and they'll change the system. If you feel like it, please hit that like button, please hit subscribe. It's up to you. I'm not going to pressure you either way. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!